Alrighty, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for the second live Everclear community call. It's an exciting time of year. We're wrapping up and heading into holiday season for everyone, but we're feeling super energized on our side. A ton is going on within the kind of Everclear core teams and the broader community. And so we're super excited to share a bunch of updates with you guys. As you know, we had a number of things go live today. The staking will come online later today, and we've also kicked off the migration. And so, really happy to be joined by some members of the Everclear Foundation to really walk you through all of that. And we'll kick things off by handing it over to Everclear founder Arjun to discuss the basics of the tokenomics and the migration. So I'll turn it over to you, Arjun.
Hey all, I'm Arjun. I'm one of the founders of Everclear, if you don't know me already. Today we kicked off things to migrate Next into Clear, and then also like our new tokenomics model. So if you missed the announcement associated with this, actually we'll kick off by starting some basic updates around Everclear itself, and then throughout the rest of these slides we'll go into like how the token model works, how you can get started with staking, and also migrating your Next to Clear. Andrew, if you want to quickly jump into this.
Sure thing. Thanks, Arjun. So our mainnet beta has seen terrific performance. Our protocol is growing rapidly, and we've seen 3x month-on-month growth for the last 3 months, and expect that to continue in December. As our volume increases, the protocol becomes more efficient with lower fees and faster settlement times. And we've maintained a consistent 50% netting rate in the last 7 days, and expect that to continue over time. So we're the cheapest cross-chain solution on most chains, and we've got a fee of between 0.8 and 1.1 bips on all chains. Our settlement time has also dropped to 30 minutes, and our average intent size has increased 80% due to onboarding larger solvers to the protocol. So this has been an increase in average intent size from $2,000 in October to $3,600 in December. Let's go to the next slide. There we go. So as I mentioned, we have a flywheel here where the more volume that we have, the more netting that occurs, and the lower the fee to rebalance. You can see this as our fees have reduced 3 times over the last 90 days as volume has increased, and will only get lower as netting increases and will approach the protocol fee of 0.2 bips. So our mainnet beta traction is strong, and we've seen netting across all chains. We've got a robust set of solvers and have processed volumes up to 800K per day with more solvers on the way. And our pipeline of DeFi integrations and Restake from Anywhere opportunities is deep. And after a successful launch of Restake from Anywhere with Renzo, who raised $1 billion in TVL due to our integration, things are looking very strong. So in our development pipeline for 2025, we're looking to integrate some of the major non-EVM chains alongside some major integrations of the centralized exchanges. So this traction of protocol volumes will only increase in the months to come, especially with the launch of Tokenomics today, which is designed to incentivize volumes. Back to you, Arjun.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew. As Andrew mentioned, like the goal with these last few months was to basically like pilot the system, because it is fundamentally a new system that nobody's ever launched into production before. So pilot this new system and start figuring out what it looks like to drive down costs using economies of scale. And now we're starting to feel a lot more comfortable with scaling things up. And so this feels like the right time to kind of accelerate by pushing the new tokenomics live. So as you obviously already know, Clear is the new kind of token associated with the protocol. It's a migration of Next, which is the token that was associated with Connext. Clear is a mechanism that allows for basically stakeholders within the ecosystem to incentivize growth of the protocol depending on where they want liquidity to flow. To understand a little bit more about what this means, let's go into like the why behind Clear. A few months ago, we had a governance proposal that was basically added to the Everclear DAO by a team called Vending Machine that proposed this new mechanism to allow for staking of Next, where Next stakers can, in a mechanism that's quite similar to like vote escrowing, can vote on where incentives should flow within the protocol to new ecosystems. The idea here was to basically incentivize solvers to go and hold capital upfront on new chains. In effect, creating a growth flywheel that kind of looks a lot like what exists with systems like Velodrome today. This targets a very, very interesting and important problem in the solver space today. So today, Everclear kind of solves this problem associated with solver rebalancing, which means like if you're a intent solver, if you are a person that is helping make intent bridge transactions happen across chains, you have to go and hold liquidity on a bunch of chains in order to make those transactions happen. But when you go and you fill a transaction, for instance, on Arbitrum, you are giving your capital on Arbitrum, and then you're receiving funds from the user coming from wherever they're coming from, right? If that's coming from Optimism, then you go and receive funds on Optimism. If that's coming from Degen Chain, all of a sudden you have capital on Degen Chain that you have to figure out how to get out from Degen Chain and back to Arbitrum where it can be productive. This is effectively the problem that the Everclear protocol solves. We call this problem rebalancing. It allows for solvers to work together across this entire industry, and not just solvers, but market makers, centralized exchanges, et cetera, to work together to kind of net off their rebalancing flows against one another so that they have to rebalance a lot less to begin with. It massively reduces their cost of operation. But there's a secondary problem here for solvers that wasn't really addressed, which is where should solvers even hold capital in the first place? This is a little bit of a different problem, right? It's like, obviously we can make it very, very easy for solvers to go and get capital to wherever they want it to go. But how do they know where to hold it in the first place? And if they don't know where to hold it in the first place, how can they de-risk moving to new ecosystems? This is a chicken and egg problem, which means like if you're a new chain, how do you incentivize solvers to come to your chain before those solvers know that there are even flows, before they even know that there is a revenue opportunity on your chain to begin with? Today, this is a very manual process. So chains already work on a one-to-one basis with bridges. They like do a bunch of backroom deals to get bridges to go and support their ecosystem. And this is like an extraordinarily manual process, often costing chains like anywhere from between $100K to $1 million in like fees, like incentives, and then sometimes like partnership deals. In general, only a small percentage of chains are actually able to even really do this. This is why you have maybe like 8 to 10 chains today that have good bridge support, and then the rest of them just don't. The vast majority of chains that are out there today, especially some of the like longer tail app chains, don't have any easy way to get into and out of the ecosystem. And when that happens, you kind of have this like blockage of liquidity. There's no way for people to go and like farm in an ecosystem or to go and build apps there. And this is one of the main things that's kind of like differentiating chains that are winning from chains that are not at the moment. Ideally, this shouldn't be such a manual process, right? Ideally, this should be democratized. A chain should just be able to go and incentivize any solver on any bridge to just go and support their ecosystem. There shouldn't be a need to have this like manual one-to-one BD experience. This is in effect what Clear does. If Everclear is a system to let solvers bring liquidity to whatever chain very, very cheaply, Clear is a marketplace to let those solvers figure out where to go, because there are upfront incentives that they get from the kind of Clear system to go and deposit liquidity there before there is actual fee revenue available. How does this work? This mechanism is somewhat similar to vote escrowing, where Clear holders, so community members like you guys, investors, team members, and also like different stakeholders in the ecosystem, like chains, like asset issuers, can basically go buy Clear and then stake it in the protocol. Staking in the protocol gives you VB Clear, vote bonded Clear, very similar to vote escrow. VB Clear holders can then go and vote on chains where they want incentives to flow towards, and that directs emissions of Clear over time to those chains, to basically solvers that are going and settling on those chains. Over time, this drives more kind of fee revenue for both the solvers and then also for Everclear itself. And that fee revenue flows back to the Clear holders, the people that are going and locking funds in the vote bonding system. Now, there's some somewhat differences from vote escrowing. So one of the big differences is that vote escrowing is historically centered around like bootstrapping liquidity. It's like centered around driving like TVL into pools, whereas in Everclear and within the Clear vote bonding system, the model is centered around driving volume, basically driving settlements to a certain chain. So it's a little bit of a different incentive paradigm, and that we think that this actually drives more desirable behavior. One of the big problems with vote escrowing is that people just go and bootstrap lots and lots of liquidity for pools that don't have any usage, which just wouldn't ever really happen here. There's a one-to-one coupling between volume and then fees that are earned. The second thing that's quite different is that there is vote bonded tokens are not permanently locked in the same way that vote escrow tokens are. There is a way to unlock from the system, and you could basically unlock from vote bond. You could basically unlock your stake with a certain penalty ahead of the time that you have committed to locking up. And we think that this is one of the primary differentiators that makes vote bonding a much more kind of desirable economic activity than vote escrowing, where there is just this like permanent lock paradigm where you're just sort of incentivized to race to the bottom by continuously locking all of your funds forever. This is the token model at high level. Now, next, I'm going to hand it back to Andrew to kind of jump into the specifics of how you can go and interact with the new token and stake it and use it within the new system.
Thanks, Arjun. So it was a big day today. We've launched the Tokenomics UI, and I'll take you through this. So this is the main dashboard that you'll see once you log on to the Tokenomics UI. So basically what you see here is all the important information you need to get started. You can see once you've got clear in your wallet and you've done the migration process, which we'll talk about very soon, you'll see the amount of clear you have, any staked VB clear you have as well, and then you'll see your average staking APY, which will update once you've actually locked your VB clear and staked it. And obviously you can do all the major actions from this HQ, which are things like stake now, you can claim your rewards, and then vote. So the other important things to note here is at a glance, you can actually see your voting, and you can see the time left in the current epoch, your available votes, and if you've delegated any, and your voting power. So let's dive right in to see how we actually go about staking. So this is the staking screen. And over on the right-hand side, there's a widget. And once you've connected your wallet, you can choose how many clear you'd like to stake. And then you can choose the duration you'd like to stake for. So here, the longer that you stake for, the higher the APY that you'll receive. And the minimum lock period is 3 months, with the maximum being 2 years. In the details below, you'll be able to see the amount of VB clear that you receive, and this is dependent upon the total amount of clear that you stake. Plus, you can obviously see the total APY that you'll receive in that time period. And let's say you've staked, and you decide, actually, I'd like to stake some more clear to receive some more voting power. You can click on add or extend and manage your locks. And here you can choose to add some more clear, or you can choose to extend your lock period for a further amount of time. And in the details here, you can see you originally had locked for 3 months, and your new lock period is 2 years. And then you can see the change to the amount of VB clear you'll receive and the change to your APYs. The next most important thing is once you've staked, most people will want to vote. And the purpose of voting here, and this I should also say, this is not replacing our existing governance voting system. This is a completely new voting system. And this voting is only to vote on the distribution of protocol volume rewards. So here, let's say you often like to rebalance to Arbitrum. In that case, you would take your VB clear and vote on Arbitrum. And what this will do is it will distribute, well, alongside everyone else's votes, it will help to increase the distribution of volume-based rewards to that chain. And you can see the chart here of the distribution. Some people won't want to log in and vote, and that's okay. So for those people, I highly encourage you to delegate your VB Next to another community member, and that's what the delegate page is for. So here you'll be able to choose from different community members, and you'll be able to delegate. You can also undelegate if you wish to, and that's before the end of the epoch, which is the 2-week period. And then your delegate can vote on your behalf. So now comes the interesting part. So once you've locked your rewards, each epoch, there will be rewards to claim. And this is basically, once you're on the dashboard, you click on claim all rewards, and you'll see there's a split between 2 types of rewards. So the first is staking rewards, which you get from staking your clear. And these are paid out in clear on the chain that you staked from. And then WETH, which will always be on Arbitrum. And then if you've rebalanced through Everclear, the protocol itself, you may also be eligible for protocol rewards, which are the variable rewards we were talking about. And then Lastly, so as Arjun mentioned, you can actually withdraw your VB Clear before the end of your expiry period of your staking. So if for some reason you've locked for say 12 months, but you need to unlock at 6 months, you can do that. There will be a penalty. And the way that works is it's between 20% and 80% of what you've locked. So basically, the shorter, you measure the distance between how long you have left in your lock period, and there's a linear sort of model where if there's say less than 80% left, if there's more than 80% left in your the length of your expiry period, then you'll be paying 80% penalty, and vice versa. This decreases over time. So if there's 20% left, you'll pay 20%. So that's the last point that I wanted to make here, and I'll hand back to Arjun.
Awesome. Yeah, as a kind of final part of this that we've already sort of mentioned a few times, a big piece of this is that we're also migrating the token. From Next, which was the token that was initially issued as part of Connext, to Clear. This was a decision that was made in conjunction with the decision to like launch Tokenomics, and there was a governance proposal that was passed associated with this. And the idea behind this was to basically consolidate the like branding of the ecosystem and reduce confusion. There was of course like Next, and the Next token was the last thing that was remaining associated with the old Codex brand. And we wanted to make it very clear, no pun intended, to people that there is like this entirely new system that exists where people have a different set of incentives than just the traditional governance DAO governance model that existed in the past. And so in order to do this, there's a pretty straightforward process. You can basically go to the kind of upgrade or migrate Next UI and simply migrate your Next to Clear. And this is at the moment a two-way migration. So you can migrate from Next to Clear and also from Clear back to Next. This happens on a one-to-one basis. There's just a wrapper contract on Ethereum. There's a few extra details around this. So if you're on L2s, this migration happened automatically, because on L2s there is only Clear. There's no Next token. You're just able to upgrade the token directly. And then on L1 you have to do this somewhat more manual process. Now migration in general is a little bit challenging, because it requires not just like it's not just a step like on the Everclear Foundation or DAO side. It is something that requires users to go and actually make this change happen. So part of this is you all as community members need to go and migrate the tokens if you want to. And then the secondary piece is that like liquidity venues like centralized and decentralized exchanges will also need to do a migration from Next to Clear. What this means is that there's going to be this like kind of awkward period where we'll be waiting for Sex Index liquidity to get migrated over to Clear and for new liquidity pools to get created. This is something that we've mentioned in the like blog post and things like that. But for the time being, you can use Clear to stake and participate within the VB Clear system. And you can use Next at the moment for trading, because that is what's supported on the centralized exchanges, and that is what has liquidity on Uniswap on L1. Over time, we're kind of still working to like finalize timelines around this, but within hopefully within the next few weeks, and hopefully even sooner, the liquidity will end up getting entirely migrated over to Clear, and at that point, all trading, all activity will happen on Clear to begin with. But just wanted to make sure that this part is understandable to people, that like at this stage, if you will not find liquidity of Clear on Uniswap, because all of that liquidity is in Next. It will take time for LPs to go withdraw funds, migrate over to Clear, and then go and create new LP pools and deposit into those LP pools for there to be Uniswap liquidity. And so if you want to trade, you can just swap back to Next at on a one-to-one basis. Cool. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dima, who's the CEO of the Everclear Foundation, to talk about the next steps on our side.
Thanks, Arjun. Hey, everyone. I would like to quickly walk you through some viable directions for the protocol and growth over the next year. So next page is about that. Let me start from the protocol. Protocol is driven by labs and foundation right now, mostly. And the most important project right now is to ship V1.1 and get closer to launching full mainnet, because as you all know, right now it's mainnet beta, and then the contributors are still iterating key features of the protocol. What is V1.1? It has a few very big unlocks for the protocol. The first one is dramatically improving solver and market maker capital utilization, like orders of magnitude. This is profound, and that will help solvers to earn much more using Everclear, and also that will improve the cycles time and settlement times. So this is a very big project, and hopefully that will go live very early Q1. And after that, Labs and Wonderland will be figuring out the next move. And there's a list of few possible directions. So the first one is definitely expanding to out VMs and non-EVMs like Solana and Tron. Very important, very big market. But apart from that, there are a few other moves like potentially relaunching the intent layer or the bridge, or doubling down on security and going AVS route, or potentially working on CeFi and building a dedicated product for this segment, because Everclear is a protocol that can greatly help all exchanges with rebalancing. In terms of growth, obviously what is really important is more solvers and bridges, and Foundation will be driving that. Also thanks to the new token system that will make things easier for solvers to figure out which chains to expand to. Apart from that, obviously chain expansion, integrating with more centralized exchanges, and actually launching the first integration as soon as possible to make sure that there is a real value that can be delivered to them, and use it as a use case to build more credibility in CeFi market. There are a few more initiatives like potentially launching Chain Abstraction Community and Research Center, because as you might know, Connects before introduced chain abstraction, and this is a very important topic right now. And next year can definitely be a very big year for getting to Web2-like experiences in crypto. And apart from that, AI is also on the agenda, and there is lots of research right now on figuring out how to launch and build cross-chain AI agent, which can be like a cross-chain solver. And as you probably follow right now, there is lots of AI agents right now on Base and Solana, but with the economy going on-chain, all of it has to have good interop, right? And cross-chain AI agents is one of the ways to help with that. So these are the viable directions. Again, the main takeaway is that what's underway right now is V1.1 and getting closer to full mainnet, and chain expansion. Apart from that, yeah, there are different viable directions, but please stay tuned in Q1 as V1.1 will be live. On that note, I think we can switch to Q&A, because it's really important to spend more time answering questions. And just as a quick comment on actually early exit tax that Andrew mentioned, actually the numbers are different. It's from a few percent to 20%, so it's actually very reasonable. But when you open the staking UI, you will be able to see that, right? So you'll have a full information on what's the early exit tax if you were to do that. Matthew, over to you to see what are the questions that we have, because we have used Slido to let people, drop their questions there.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dima. So you guys feel free to continue dropping questions in. We had a few roll in thus far, but we're distributing links on both the community Telegram account as well as Twitter. So feel free to drop any questions you have. Let's start just from the top of the list, actually. So first question is, can I vote or delegate voting power on the protocol governance while my clear are staked?
The answer to that one is yes, you certainly can. And you can actually only vote if your clear are staked.
Awesome, Andrew. Thanks so much for that. Looks like another question here, maybe that Arjun, you can hop in on. Are solvers profitable today on the various bridges? And if so, how much do they make?
Dima can also help with this one. TLDR, they're somewhat profitable. So there are systems of incentives right now that are helping kind of keep this ecosystem afloat. But in general, it's not super sustainable. Dima, do you want to get into this? Because I think you had a really awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So again, as a recap, right now users are used to pay 2 to 3 bips per transaction, which is very low. And solvers, to make money, they need to make like 4, 5 at least. So quite often the difference is coming from bridges or interop protocols who are doing heavy token rebates. So yeah, solver unit economics is generally not great these days, and Everclear is supposed to greatly help with that. I guess we can move back to another question, which is, can users migrate back to Next? Yes, users can do that. There is migration UI. You can go backwards, back and forth, as many times as you want.
As a note on that, I kind of voiced over it in this call, but we'll also be putting out a guide on how to do this, both with Etherscan and more generally, so that you have a better idea of like what the process is to go back and forth, and then like why you would do that, at what point it's a good idea to switch over permanently.
Yeah, thanks for highlighting that, Arjun. Yeah, so today through the UI, you can migrate in both directions, or if you prefer to do so through Etherscan, that guide will be live on our website here within maybe only an hour or so. I guess related to that question, we're getting another one coming in. When is the last day to migrate?
Well, there is no last day right now. So far, migration will last for as long as community needs, at least for 18 months, because there are like backers who have unlocks, and throughout this period, they need to have an option to do that. So there is no end date right now, no deadline. You can feel safe that it's there for foreseeable future.
The only note here is that eventually at some point, like all of the liquidity is going to get migrated over to Clear, and there's not going to be a reason to actually have to go back to Next in the first place. And so at that point, what will happen is that we'll just switch it so that the migration is only one way. There's something like within the token contracts, the migration can be toggled such that it's possible to only go from Next to Clear and not back anymore. That would only really happen at the point at which there's really no need to go back to Next anymore, because there's no liquidity in Next, and we're just sort of completely switching over everything to Clear. That's something that we'll end up communicating when it happens over the course of in the coming weeks.
Yeah. Where does the WETH come from? From the DAO, and again, this whole token system is something that was approved by Everclear DAO, and all rewards are going from there. So also there is a question on success and venues, and there is a few more here. It's not something that we can really comment on, because all success make decisions on their own, right? And it's something that they basically do independently from foundation, from DAO, from anybody.
Awesome. Looks like we have one more here related to the Karma delegation dashboard. So will the Karma delegation dashboard still work as normal when I've staked my Clear? So as far as I know, that delegation dashboard has not been updated yet with Clear, but that definitely will get migrated over as well, so that you will have that functionality built in there as well. So more updates to come as those changes roll out.
There's a couple of questions in the actual other chat as well. One that was just asked was, when will staking be live? So based on kind of user feedback that we got over the past couple of days, some users had concerns about like having enough time to migrate before staking goes live. So we decided to kind of stagger the launch of staking by a few hours. Staking will be going live shortly. Can't give you an exact time because well, we need to get off of this and ask engineering. But I think basically it just comes down to like making sure that there is enough time to like for the community to ask any questions, and checking in on the community Telegram and like in our Discord to see if anyone is having any troubles with migration before we kick that off. Expect it within the next few hours, though. Let's see.
Looks like we had a new one roll in here. So my question is, how clear the road ahead is to permissionless addition of new chains into the ecosystem?
Yeah, that's a really good question. This is something that is like a really important topic of conversation internal to the team right now. I would say like permissionless addition of every single chain is obviously going to take some time, right? Because chains are not like a homogeneous bunch. There are EVM compatible chains that are supported by Hyperlane, who we're working really closely with. That would be the easiest thing for us to go and expand into because we're already working with Hyperlane and they are permissionless. Then there's like EVM compatible chains that are not supported by Hyperlane. That's kind of the secondary step removed from that. And then there's like alt VM chains, and then there's like chains with no VM at all, like Bitcoin and things like that. The goal is for Everclear to be everywhere. But the question is like how we can kind of be permissionless in those different ecosystems first. That's something that is a key point of like research that we're hoping to have better answers around in like Q1 or so. Andrew or Dima, if you have anything to add to that, let me know.
I think that sums it up.
All right, friends. We'll give it maybe a minute or two longer here. If you have more questions, please feel free to drop them in. Sorry about that, Arjun. Go ahead.
No worries. Another one that just came in. What alt VMs are on your priority? So there's a few that we've been particularly interested in just based on conversations with partners. Obviously, Solana is a major one that a lot of people are very interested in. That's one that we're taking pretty seriously. Fuel is another ecosystem that we've been working pretty closely with for some time now. And then others that are sort of have been kind of asked about and that we're thinking about are Ton and Tron. Beyond that, I mean, I think the like Move ecosystem chains are quite interesting as well, but we still sort of need to see what happens with those ecosystems after they roll out and go live. Another question: how do you view Omni? Can we expect some intersection between Omni and Clear? Yes, we're actually have a good relationship with the Omni team and collaborate with them a lot on like chain abstraction marketing. Omni is basically building something that will, I mean, the Omni's intent protocol needs a mechanism for rebalancing, which Clear can help with. And then there's potentially other sorts of tie-ins there into like the way that Omni's infrastructure works. So TLDR for us and from our perspective, like all of these other intent protocols are our users, right? Those are people that we are interested in collaborating with. And in particular, their solvers are like the primary users of the Everclear protocol. And so we're kind of hoping to work with the solvers of every ecosystem.
And by the way, same goes to other chain abstraction protocols. So if you guys have ever seen chain abstraction map, at the top you have permissions of wallets, right, where users express their intents. And there are many protocols working on this very important problem, like Particle, Omni, to some extent, Near, and all of them are using intents and solvers underneath. And it means that all of the solvers have the rebalancing problem, which Everclear is addressing, right? So in theory, all of them can be using Everclear, and definitely we are working towards that.
So another question that just came in, are the handheld integrations going well? Can we expect this to ramp up soon? So for context for anybody that doesn't know, when we kind of first went live with Everclear, we sort of said upfront, we're going to white glove onboard early partners because we want to make sure that we're giving a good experience. And because, as I mentioned at the start of this call, this is a fundamentally new system, right? So a big part of this like beta that we have launched with, the goal behind it was to figure out like, how does this system perform under stress? How can we like validate our technological and like market hypotheses very effectively prior to scaling things up with a full release? To answer your question, the handheld integrations are going well. We have been ramping them up. That's why if you look at like the Everclear volume, it's been growing by like 300% month over month. That's something that we kind of continue to expect to continue seeing. We're like still working and talking with a ton of partners, and they're slowly starting to kind of scale up or like commit to moving more of their flows into our system. And so yeah, just keep an eye on that. You'll see this happening over time. Another question, how big is the team and are you looking for more people? Dima, you want to take this?
Yeah, so foundation is a little bit over 12 people right now. Labs is less than 10. So yeah, I think right now there is an open position in marketing, actually. So you can check it out on Lever. very important, looking for brilliant marketing people. And I guess this is it for now. So yeah, always check out our lever.
Yeah. We can't really speak to people on the other teams. So there are like other contributing teams to the ecosystem, like Wonderland and Veil and others that have kind of like worked with the DAO. I think the people that they have kind of dedicated to the project goes up and down based on like project needs. And so that's something that we don't necessarily have full understanding of at the moment. Bullish, small, lean teams. Cool. Any other questions?
Looks like we made our way through all of them. So yeah, I guess with that, everyone, just want to thank you again for tuning into the community call. We plan to host these regularly. Obviously, there are a lot of major kind of updates and milestones on the path forward. And so if you have questions around the migration or staking, feel free to reach out to us. We have a large Discord community. We just launched an official channel for Telegram that's growing really, really quickly. Or, of course, always reach out to us directly on Twitter. And yeah, with that, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will speak with you all soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.